Welcome to my Reddit Roundup. I am Flosen, and today I'm going to be reading 5 stories from r/TalesFromRetail. I hope you enjoy. So the first story we have today is labeled, "Today I Made a Customer Cry." I work in a photo finishing business, and I was helping a friendly lady who wanted some prints off her phone. She offhandedly mentioned that she recently lost all the photos on her phone, so she was only able to get prints from the last few weeks. I found it odd that the photos would just disappear, but the phone was still working. She insisted, despite being a technology illiterate, that she didn't accidentally delete them. She also offhandedly mentioned that she thought her phone had a memory card in it. This needed further investigation. I fully expected her not to have a micro SD card, since many older folk call the SIM card a memory card, but lo and behold, there was one inside. I put the card into one computer, and it didn't show up at all, so I tried our Windows PC instead, and it told me the disk was unformatted, likely corrupted somehow by her cheap off-brand Android. I didn't want to get her hopes up, but since Windows was able to see it, I thought there might be a chance. So I took a deep breath, formatted it, and threw it into our recovery software. I was able to recover 90% of the photos and video on that card. The lady had been waiting for her prints anyway, so I waved for her to come around to my computer and take a look. She looked at the photos on the screen and literally started bawling. It was all of her most important pictures: her grandson's graduation, her dog that had passed a few months ago, family trips, and years worth of pictures that weren't backed up anywhere. In the end, she bought a new micro SD, and I gave her a DVD of the pics at no charge. After paying, she ran behind the counter and gave me a big hug. I later found out that day that she wrote my boss a letter and said it was the best customer service she'd ever had. Today has been a good day. Well, that was an uplifting story. You don't usually get that in r/Tales from Retail. I have a feeling the rest of these aren't going to be as upbeat. So this story is titled, "I Witnessed FU Money." This happened to me about a month or so ago, and I'm still relishing in the glory. I work at a large US auto parts store. Me is me, Moneybags is $signs, Crazy Lady is CL, and Manager is M. Now, Moneybags is a regular customer, and when he comes in, we jump for joy as his purchases are usually in the thousands of dollars. I'm helping Mr. Moneybags look up parts and get them for him when CL walks in and rushes to our seat cover aisle, where she grabs the ugliest bejeweled faux leather seat cover and rushes up front. The prices on these and she says, "The prices on these goddamn seat covers are effing outrageous. $60 for these?" I do agree that the price is high and would have helped her. So I said back to her, "Ma'am, I'll be with you in just a second after I finish helping Mr. Moneybags. Or my manager will be here in a moment and he'll help you, I'm sure." She replies, "No, you will help me now. I have money, and you will stop being a lazy effing a-hole and help me right now." And now I decide not to help her. I don't like it when people cuss me out. So my manager walks up and he asks, "Can I help you, ma'am?" "Yes," she says. "Tell your lazy employee to do his effing job." At this point, I stop listening to her and continue helping Mr. Moneybags. Mr. Moneybags points to a seat cover and he says, do y'all have any more of those?" And I say, "Let me check." And when I check, there's 3 more besides that one. and he says, "Can you please get them for me?" Okay. I go get them, and Mr. Moneybags addresses CL, and he says, "Are you gonna buy that?" And she says back to him, "I haven't decided yet." Mr. Moneybags grabs it out of her hand and tells me he wants to buy all 4 with cash. Remember, these are $60 plus tax each. I make the sale, and Mr. Moneybags proceeds to take them out of the box and cut them into ribbons in front of the crazy lady and throw them away with a huge smile. He then returned to me to finish his shopping list that ended up being a whopping 4K plus sale. The crazy lady exclaims, "He can't do that." And my manager just tells her that he can do it if he likes. He paid for it. Now, leave this store. You're not welcome here anymore. I love my manager's zero tolerance policy on customers cussing out employees. So this next story is titled, "Woman Wants a Refund Because She's Filled Up the Memory on Her 3-month-old Phone," and the fun ensues. I work in a UK phone shop. One day a couple of months ago, I'm stood outside the shop at 8:50 waiting for my manager to come down and let me in. There's a middle-aged woman standing outside as well, glaring at me, tapping her foot and huffing impatiently. Uh-oh, that's a bad sign. At 9 a.m. we open the doors, and she comes stomping in, straight up to me. I open my mouth, but she doesn't give me a chance to speak. She bought her phone about 3 months ago, and it doesn't work anymore. Apparently, she wants a refund. Now, before this conversation goes any further, I feel I have to point out to her straight away that a refund is not going to be possible after this length of time. After 30 days, we can send it off for repair, but that's it. And she screeches to me, "Don't argue with me." Okay. I ask her if I can have a look at her phone. She rolls her eyes and hands it over. After a few seconds, it becomes clear that her internal memory has been filled up with photos of her grandson, etc. So there isn't any space to install a software update, so there isn't actually anything wrong with her phone at all. With my best retail smile, I begin to explain this to her, and mention that she can always buy an SD card and move her photos onto that, and hey presto, problem solved. Nope, she wants a refund. We're back onto that. I tell her I'm going to go and speak to my manager. I go upstairs and we laugh at her, the usual. But he still comes back down with me to back me up because she's getting pretty horrible, and we then spend another 10 minutes or so trying to convince her that literally all we can do is send her perfectly working phone off for repair. She's now telling us that she's going to go to trading standards, quoting the Consumer Rights Act at us. Basically, she's the biggest cliche going on. Unreal. Eventually, she admits defeat, but she still wants it repaired, so I sit her down and start to take some details. Why do you want my details? I'm literally on the edge here. Eventually, she tells me her first name. I start to type it in. She can see the screen as Gill, and then she says, "No, you stupid girl, it's spelled Jill." Speaking slowly. I raise my eyes to her and give her a big, sickly sweet smile and apologize profusely. Then I ask for her surname. Let's see if you can spell this right, shall we? At which point, I sit back and say, "I'm sorry, but I'm not going to serve you." She goes bright red and starts sputtering, kicking off, calling me thick, rude, etc., etc. My manager comes over and tells her calmly to leave. "I'm taking this all the way to the top," she says, and my manager just replies with, feel free, but please, leave. Our fourth story for today is titled, Never Be Rude to People in Small Retail Shops. When I was 16, I worked for my uncle. He was a tailor, but also had a clothes store next door to his main shop. He let me run the clothes store, which basically involved keeping it clean, serving customers, and displaying stock. He ran the business side of it. I was paid to essentially sit there all day. It was a pretty quiet store in a quiet area, so it was a pretty cruisy job. Great for school holidays. Whenever we got new stock in, I would have to put the price tags on myself. Most of the clothes we sold were men's office workwear. Suits, shirts, trousers, and the like. Average price for a suit was around $150 to $200. One day, I had a belligerent customer come in. He saw that I was quite young, so he took to bullying me around. He would swear and act very impatient, and would call me slow and stupid. I'd dealt with rude customers before, but this guy was far too much. To the best of my knowledge, I hadn't done anything wrong. He may have been having a bad day, but to me, that doesn't excuse the insults. He had come in quite early. We usually open at 9, but didn't get any customers until much later. It was rare to get any customers before 11. And that morning, I knew I'd gotten a load of new stock in, and hadn't finished putting on the price tags as it was a huge amount of new stock in. So, because of his rudeness, I decided that I would charge him much, much more. Either he would decide it was too expensive, or we would make a lot more money. He selected 3 suits. I told him they were $500 for the first 2, and with the third being $700. They were actually around $200. We haggled a bit, and I sold them for around $350 for the first 2, and $600 for the third. He was actually quite happy with what he saw as a major victory. I was quite happy I made an extra $700. I told my uncle what happened, and he let me keep a percentage of the money as a bonus. My uncle knew that particular customer and had issues with him before. Perhaps it wasn't the morally correct thing to do, but it serves to show you shouldn't be rude. Our 5th and final story for today is titled, The Customer's Wife Came In Specifically to Find Me. So this happened a long time ago in my old job at High Street Jewelers in the UK. But I think about the interaction a lot, so I wanted to share. I was working on the shop floor, and an elderly gentleman and his daughter came in and started looking at bracelets and bangles. To give some perspective, this isn't a prestige jeweler's. Unless something had a diamond in it, the most you could look to spend was £300 to £400. After giving them a few minutes to look, I went over and asked if they needed any help. The gentleman said he was looking for a bangle for his wife for their anniversary, but he wasn't sure what to go for. I brought them over to the table and chairs and let him have a sit while I took our 10 or so bangles and bracelets out of the display for him to have a look at. I brought them over and explained the difference between the metals, the clasps, etc. Let him hold them, try them on his daughter to see how they looked on the wrist, that sort of thing. I probably spent about 40 minutes with them, helping them choose something. He landed on something he liked, and left happy with a new bangle for his wife. Such a nice man, and it was a pleasure to see him off with something he liked. Skip to the following Saturday, and I was on the shop floor again. A lady comes in, looking around for something, so I head over and ask if she needs anything. She clocks my name badge and says, "Ah, are you the chap that helped my husband pick out this bangle?" It was the wife of the gentleman I had helped, and she had come into town to find me specifically to say thank you for spending so much time to help him pick out such a lovely present, and how much she loved it. Apparently, it meant so much to the old-timer that he told her all about the experience in the store. He had no idea really what he was looking for, and was just pleased to I was just pleased to help guide him through the minefield that can be women's jewelry. I'd never had such warm fuzzies working in that shop. I still think about it a lot. And with that, we come to the end of my first video. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And can't wait to post more. Thank you.